Okay, so did you see that news flash yesterday, July 10th? Came across metallurary.com.
Oh, yeah. The Greenland story. Quite something.
Right. This massive island, you'd assume they'd be jumping at the chance, with all those critical minerals.
Right.
But they've basically come out and said they're uninterested in becoming a, quote, mining superpower.
It's a really striking position, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially given the global scramble for exactly those resources.
And totally. And we're talking about the building blocks here, rare earths, metals, everything needed for, well, phones, batteries, green energy, the works.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating case study in geopolitics, economics, and, well, self-determination, really.
So for this deep dive, we're looking at an article that tries to unpack this.
Exactly. The title translates to Why Greenland Doesn't Want to Become a Mining Superpower.
Yeah.
It gives us some crucial context.
And our mission is basically to figure out what's going on, the forces at play.
That's it. Geopolitics.
Yeah.
Yeah, the economic side, but also, maybe most importantly, the will of the people actually living there.
Okay, so to really get this, we probably need to rewind a bit. Remember that whole thing with former President Trump wanting to buy Greenland back in 2025?
Oh, definitely. That really put Greenland back on the global map, didn't it?
It did, and his stated reasons were, well, partly international security, countering Russia in the Arctic,
Right.
the strategic location.
But he also explicitly mentioned securing those rare earths, those critical minerals for the U.S. energy independence, tech independence. That was the pitch.
And Denmark's response was pretty immediate and unambiguous.
Swift. Greenland is not for sale. End of story.
Or,
So you'd think.
well, externally, yes. But internally, that offer, even though rejected, sparked a huge debate within Greenland.
Interesting. How so?
It actually pushed some political figures there to think more seriously about full independence. It kind of forced the issue, making them consider their own future path.
So an external proposal lit an internal fire about self-determination.
Precisely. It became less about the sale itself and more about Greenland defining its own destiny. And the potential resources involved are just staggering. It's not theoretical.
No, not at all. There was that Danish geological study recently.
Yeah, what did it find? Like 25 out of the 34 critical materials the EU lists.
That's the one. We're talking rare earths, definitely.
Okay.
But also copper, graphite, even uranium. Significant deposits.
And the kicker is climate change, right? The melting ice is, ironically, making these places easier to reach.
It's this strange paradox. As the ice retreats, the land underneath, with its mineral wealth,
Always.
becomes physically more accessible, at least in theory.
So you've got this incredible wealth, increasingly accessible, and the whole world is desperate for these materials.
The International Energy Agency, the IEA, they put out figures. Demand for key transition minerals like lithium, cobalt, copper
Yeah.
could quadruple by 2030.
Quadruple. Wow.
And right now, China has a huge amount of control over the processing and supply chains for many of these.
Which makes Western countries very nervous. They want alternative sources. Urgently.
Absolutely. Diversification is the name of the game. So Greenland looks like a potential answer on paper.
Which leads back to the core question. If the demand is there, the resources are there, why isn't Greenland rushing to become the next big mining hub?
Right. Why isn't there this massive boom?
Yeah, what are the roadblocks?
Well, first, there are just the sheer practical difficulties. We're talking about the Arctic.
Extreme conditions.
Extremely extreme. Permafrost, remote locations, huge distances, ice-choked seas for transport. The operating costs are just enormous. Logistics are a nightmare.
Okay, so that's a major factor.
The cost, definitely. But it's not just that. The article we looked at mentions that some geological experts, they think the economic value is often overblown.
How so? Like, there's less there than people think.
Not necessarily less, but the profitability of actually mining it is uncertain, especially for rare earths. That market is famously volatile. Prices go up and down like crazy.
So it's a gamble.
A very expensive gamble.
Yeah.
And then, crucially, there's the local population.
The resistance.
Strong resistance. Many people there are deeply concerned about the environmental impact. They worry that large-scale mining would destroy sensitive ecosystems, disrupt traditional hunting and fishing.
And that the potential economic benefits just wouldn't be worth the damage to their land and way of life.
Exactly. There's a real fear that the costs, the environmental and social costs, would far outweigh the financial gains, which might not even materialize or might primarily benefit foreign companies.
That puts the government's stance into perspective, then. You mentioned the Minister for Mineral Resources, Nigel Nathanielson.
Yes. Her statements are very clear.
And she basically says, look, becoming a mining superpower, that is not our goal.
Explicitly not the goal. They're opting for something very different,
Which is
a much more moderate path. They're open to some mining, but it has to be limited. A restricted number of projects.
carefully chosen, presumably.
Very carefully chosen and managed responsibly. The emphasis is incredibly strong on maintaining high environmental standards, high social standards.
And listening to the locals.
Absolutely fundamental. They recognize that without the support, the consent of the local communities, any project is unsustainable in the long run. It's about local control, local values.
So prioritize sustainability and local well-being over just maximizing extraction for global markets.
That seems to be precisely the strategy. They hold the cards, in a way, and they're choosing to play them very cautiously on their own terms.
So wrapping this up, what we're seeing in Greenland is this incredible balancing act.
Definitely. You've got these huge geopolitical forces pushing, massive global economic demand pulling.
And right in the middle, this relatively small Arctic population saying, hold on, we decide our future. It's quite powerful.
It really is. And it leaves you with a pretty interesting question to think about, doesn't it? Well, consider Greenland's approach. Is this something other places rich in resources could actually do? Can they genuinely balance the economic pressure with protecting their environment and ensuring local communities have the final say? Or is Greenland, maybe because of its unique political situation or its harsh environment, a special case, able to assert control in a way that others just can't against these powerful global forces?